Welcome to the Syrupcast, MobileSyrup's Canadian-focused tech podcast. I'm Patrick O'Rourke, Brad Bennett, a man who refers to himself as the bad boy of tech. He's across the internet. I can kind of see him a little bit better. Not anymore. He just turned into a bunch of pixels.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. I lowered my quality in my camera today to 1080p, or maybe it was 720. But usually I was trying to record at 4K, so I was hoping that would be easier on Zencaster. But you're telling me that didn't help. I'm still.
It was working really well before, and then as soon as I pressed record, you just turned into like a Game Boy camera character.
Hello. Beep boop beep. Anyway, I'm Brad Bennett. Welcome to the Samsung Show.
Yeah, that's what it is today.
Yeah.
And we also have our resident Pokemon expert, Dean Daley. He's back, but this time he's our Samsung expert. How are you doing, Dean?
Good. I have just a bunch of Samsung phones here on the baller.
Wow.
What phones are they? Tell people what phones they are.
This is the Z Fold 3.
Okay.
Note. No, wait. S22 Ultra.
No.
I'm going to do that all the time.
I do S22
S22
Ultra.
Ultra.
Everything.
S21 FE and S21 Ultra.
Nice.
Cool.
The one thing I've been trying to do to like soothe my like little, I can't call it a note soul, is every time I try to write about it, I always say like, notably, it has this. It's just like a little, it's a note. I don't know if anyone's picking up on it, but yeah.
So I saved this for the podcast. Your story that you wrote today about the colors.
Yeah.
You called it a note in the headline.
Oh no.
You said, here's every Samsung Galaxy Note S22 colors.
Yeah, that's.
It's hard.
That's
I struggled a lot with my review. Or my hands on.
That's I can't believe I got caught up on the podcast. That's hilarious that worked in perfectly.
I saved it for this. But yeah, as you may have guessed, this is the Samsung Galaxy S22 episode. We have a ton of stuff to go over, ranging from the Ultra to the S22 Plus and the standard S22. Dean's going to be doing our Ultra review. John's doing our S22 review. I think we'll also have an S22 Plus review at some point, but probably down the line. But before we get to the bulk of the show, Bennett, hit us with that hottest news of the week.
So there's not a whole lot. I mean, most of the hottest news, obviously, is the Samsung stuff that we're going to be talking about for the bulk of the show. So stick around for that, and I'll just kind of glaze over what's happening on the other side of the tech world, which is, I guess, the Apple zone. So basically, there's a new Apple event, or there are rumors of an Apple event happening on March 8th. We're expecting a new iPhone SE, a new base level iPad, or maybe a new iPad Air. Is that kind of what I'm getting?
New iPad Air.
Yeah.
But based on the stuff that like I've covered and the leaks that we've seen from Bloomberg, and I think John Prosser had some stuff too.
Yeah,
it's going to be pretty.
Don't trust that guy.
Yeah. I still like that I write sometimes reliable John Prosser. He saw that, thought it was funny, but like his hardcore fans were like just yelling at me, like yelling into the abyss for like a week after I wrote that.
That's honestly
still do it every time.
I think that should be his Twitter bio. That's like pretty good. That's like a pretty good like in on the joke, and he knows it. I mean, it's just the nature.
It's not
of
even
leaks.
like
yeah.
It's not
really
even that big of a knock on him either, right?
No.
Like when he's right, the dude is really right. Like
Yeah, we
super
cover him
right.
for
But
a
when-
reason. I mean, that's enough.
But when he's wrong, he's also really, really wrong at the same time.
But entertaining, you know. I'll watch that guy shave an eyebrow off every time. I love it. If he would do it every time, I would watch it. It's tough, and I hope he doesn't. Don't listen to me, but you know, it's entertaining as hell. It was awesome.
But at
Anyway,
this event, so there's the new iPhone SE. It's expected to be the same as the previous one, so it's going to look like an iPhone 8. It's still going to have a physical Touch ID button, which back when the last SE dropped in 2020, it already looked super dated. So this is going to look like a positively ancient phone, but it's going to have the latest A series chip in it. So it'll be
And 5G.
probably and 5G. Sure, that matters more in the US than here, but yeah. it'll have 5G. And then the iPad Air, there's not a lot about like anything related to leaks regarding it. It's just going to have a faster chip. Probably.
I think they have to, because the iPad Mini is like more powerful in it right now. It's just kind of a weird lineup for Apple,
especially with the smaller resolution display.
Yeah. The one thing that kind of like shakes me about the iPhone SE is, do you think that they'll keep it in the tiny iPhone 8 form factor, or will they at least bump it up to iPhone 8 Plus?
Nope, it's going to be the same. I think it's going to be the exact same phone.
I have
That's
one
what
buddy with
people
one,
want.
and it looks like a toy. When he pulls it out, it's like, shoop! It's like the size of this like little tiny book that came with my earbuds to the instructions. Like, it's so small.
that phone, like it's like a parts bin floor Apple phone where they just take like stuff that's left over in the factories and put together a smartphone. But that's
But like you
Apple,
think
like
they'd have leftover, 10R parts or iPhone 11 parts at this point.
100%.
Usually at this, yeah. But you're right.
But
the home
that's
button,
what people don't want. That like the audience that this phone
Yeah,
is going
yeah.
after are like it's probably a generalization, but like older people that are still stuck on using the physical Touch ID home button. So if they were to change it and go with a more modern like XR design, which makes sense to me,
Yeah.
it probably wouldn't sell as well.
Yeah, that's fair. And I guess like smaller size to mean less parts, lower cost, which is the whole joint of this. So I guess that makes sense. Moving on, this other thing, this one we'll just go over really quickly because it's not coming to Canada. It's also Apple related, but Apple just launched a new feature called Tap to Pay, and it allows like stores to use an iPhone as like a payment terminal. So instead of having a debit machine, you would just tap your card to the cashier's iPhone, and that's how the money would get transferred to the store. This means you could tap like phone to phone, card to phone. Those are really the two ways you could do cash into phone, but hopefully they'll still take cash anyway. But I think it's like really cool. It probably won't come to Canada for a long time just because a lot of this like Apple Wallet, Apple Pay, like stuff just hasn't came here. The Apple Card isn't here. Apple Cash isn't here. Those are kind of the same thing, but like you can't use your Apple Wallet to do student cards or like Presto or transit passes in Canada, but I think you can in the States. Maybe you can in some places.
Presto was supposed to be coming to Apple devices, but then I would love to do a follow-up story. That just didn't. It just never happened. I don't know what was going on. There's like a big press release, and it just never went through.
Yeah,
I feel like
but
that sort of stuff would be great at like Fan Expo. Everyone always has like their little like those little
Square
what are those-
readers.
Yeah, the square readers and stuff, and like skip the middleman. Let's do.
That's what it's a
Yeah.
replacement for is Square, right?
Yeah.
Like if I was Square, I'd be like I realized that the amount
Oh,
of
yeah,
people
Square's
that
done.
use
I mean,
use like
in
an
a year and a half.
iPhone. Yeah, that use an iPhone in the States, like it's not 50-50 like Canada. It's a different percentage. I think there's
But in
more
a year and a half,
Android
Google's
users.
going to copy this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
why
they'll
wouldn't
do
they?
that
That's
for
just
the same thing.
the way it goes. Or not copy it, but like offer a comparative feature. Like, it's just the way things are going. So all we need. You can go ahead.
The only thing I was gonna say, like the one key thing that I wanted to mention was that it's not gonna be like natively baked into iOS. It's supported by third-party apps, and one of the first apps I believe is a Shopify app.
Right. Yeah,
which leads me to believe that it might come to Canada because Shopify is a Canadian company and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I could see this being huge, and it basically the one thing that I'm like the most excited about. I guess this doesn't really change things, but to me, it feels like a step closer not having to carry a wallet. We have the like digital ID Me app in Canada where we can put our like IDs on our phones. You can't legally like accept that places yet, but I think we're like a few steps away from that becoming legal. And then this stuff starts rolling out. Maybe I can get my Presto Pass in my Apple Wallet finally, and then I don't have my like MagSafe wallet here on the desk, but that means no wallet, just a phone, and that's like the Brad Bennett dream come true.
I'll never do
anyway.
it.
Really? You would never do it? Like, whoops, kick my camera. You would never do no wallet? Why?
I would
What do
have
you got
too
in
much
there that's so
anxiety about not having like unreasonable anxiety about not having like a specific card that I need, and I don't even carry around like
Tim's card.
a fat. Sorry, yeah, my Tim cards.
Actually, I didn't see my wallet all week.
Tough. This is where we
Like,
lose
thinking
Steve
about
from
it.
the podcast, and he just goes.
Yeah.
He's gonna go look. He's gonna go look for it.
Yeah.
I just realized that. Huh. All right, it's good to.
All right, we've dived into wallets. The last thing I'll say about wallets, I have a MagSafe pop socket wallet. I wrote about it once. It's on MobileSyrup.com. It's honestly really, really sick. I love it. If you're looking for like a minimal wallet, that's definitely one to check
But then, how do you tap your phone? Like don't you? Like,
well, like it's a magnet, so I can just take it off, tap.
Okay, yeah.
That's why this one is so good, because it's a magnet. I wouldn't put like a pop socket wallet that like sticks forever on my phone, but because of like the MagSafe thing, boom. Like if I get a Pixel, I'm getting the MagSafe cases for it because like these MagSafe accessories, the fact that I can have them on
Who
and
makes
off
that?
when
Is
I
that
need them.
brand?
Well, maybe dbrand has one. No, Moment makes the cases for Google Pixels that have MagSafe rings.
Oh, do they? Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It also, the ring even lines up with the wireless charger in the Pixels, so you can even use it with the MagSafe chargers to wirelessly charge.
I love MagSafe. I think it's like highly underrated. It's great. people like crapped all over it when it came out. The ecosystem's gotten way better, and there's some cool accessories out there.
Yeah. There's some dumb ones too. I keep seeing this one for this like crazy audio DAC thing. So it's like a huge thing.
Yeah,
We're
I've
getting
seen
way
that.
off topic. Magnets on the back of your phone, plugs into the lightning port, and then has a headphone jack on the back,
so
so you can get like
stupid.
lossless audio. I mean, it's kind of cool, but yeah, it's like $200. Anyway, let's get into Samsung stuff. Let's not. Apple can't
Cool.
derail this one.
Cool. Yeah. So we're gonna break this into two different sections. Again, this is another episode of the Dean Daley show in some respect because he's going to be carrying the bulk of this. First, we're going to talk about the S22 Ultra. This is the first year, I think, since I've worked at MobileSyrup that I have not. I'm not going to be doing a Samsung review. I'm bowing out. I'm handing over the torch. I'm not going to be doing.
Thank
a review
God.
this year.
People are tired of your old ass reviews.
I am tired of them as well. So I'm glad personally that I'm not doing them. To be fair, but Dean, he's going to be doing our S22 Ultra review. I looked at the pictures. I edited the story. It looks largely the same as last year's device. I do like the camera bump. Bennett, I know you have a different opinion on that, and we'll get into that.
Yeah,
But
and actually,
Dean,
from Dean's holding it up, it looks very similar with just the light shining out. Like the placement of them is really similar. I didn't notice how like sort of it's kind of like the same bump, you know.
but the Ultra just doesn't have that backing, which
Yeah,
I've
it's
always
weird.
hated. I've always hated the backing. I'm not a big fan of it on the iPhone. But what was the year? There was 1 year. Would it have been
High
the
Bixby.
S20 Ultra, where it looked like they literally just pasted like a piece of metal
Yeah,
or
that
glass,
one.
glass to the back of the phone, and it just looks so bad. It didn't look seamless in any way.
Yeah, it was just like, and it was deep too. Like it was, yeah, not good.
But yeah,
I remember that one.
back to the Ultra. Dean, what's different in this year's phone compared to the S21 Ultra?
All right. So starting from here, I guess this one has an S Pen. It's built in.
Boom! We need like a soundboard for moments like that, where just like the
It's
crowd.
just like an explosion noise.
I just want like the Seinfeld like crowd laughing, or I don't even know if Seinfeld has that.
And that's big, right? Like you can't really.
Yeah, that's
understate-
pretty big. It makes the phone a Note. I don't see the difference between this and a Note now, except for the Note is dead.
The Note is dead. Long live the Note.
Yeah, but Samsung is bringing back the Note into the
Ultra.
S20, like the S line now, and making the S22 Ultra the Note, which is kind of weird because like I have this weird thought process with this is that
Okay, hit us with it.
if you're gonna make the S22 Ultra the new Note, then the S22 Plus should be the new S22 Ultra. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I don't
'cause
know.
there's
You don't
no,
think
like-
this kind of like falls enough between the two to kind of satisfy both camps?
no,
Like
because
Ultra
it's
camp
kind
and
of
Note camp.
I don't know. It kind of feels like a Note, and I've always been an S fan and not a Note fan.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
true.
care for the S Pen. I don't care for this. Like, I mean, I'm getting used to this square shaped body, but I didn't care for it before.
Yeah.
And now like people are paying more really for like an S Pen.
To me,
How
it's
much
just a Note.
more? How much more is it than the Ultra? I know the Ultra was really
So the
expensive too.
S22 Plus is $13.99, and then the S22 Ultra is $16.49. So
So an
like
extra like $300,
like $250,
$250.
right?
Okay.
So like if I'm someone who wanted an S20, if I wanted like the S21 Ultra experience, but not like an S Pen, I mean, like it's just kind of weird. It's a weird move in my opinion. I think that the S22 Plus should have just been different than the S22.
Do you think just making it larger, more like Ultra size, would have like alleviated that?
I think it needed like more of the Ultra features. Like the Ultra has the. I'm looking at some spec sheets right now.
It's got the more
Ultra has,
cameras right off the bat.
Yeah, the more cameras, bigger battery, 12 gigabytes of RAM, which
Right, that's a big one.
yeah, like this
That's-
22 doesn't have access to that at all.
But isn't that a step
Uh,
down from the amount of RAM that was in the Ultra last year too, though?
Yeah,
You started
but
at
16 gigs
12?
of RAM was crazy. in a
Yeah,
phone.
you have to pay more. You have to pay more money for the 16 gigs, right? So like that was like one of the upper tiers. It started at 12 gigs.
Okay.
This one starts
they-
at 8 gigs, which is also like kind of weird. I don't know why they would start at 8 gigs. Even Google's Pixel starts at 12 gigs.
Just to clarify, though, we're talking about the S22 Ultra starts at 8, goes up to 12, and the S22 and S22 Plus only have 6 gigs of RAM each, right?
No, they have 8. They just have 8 gigs.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So then like, yeah, it is a downgrade because last year's had 16. But
does
who
that really
needs-
matter? Like I
Yeah,
realize
who
there's some
needs
saying
16
some
gigs of RAM?
fans that like truly care about specs and like they need to see that number, but I would
I
like
don't-
bet nearly any amount of money that when you like get down to using that phone, the experience with the RAM difference, it's not going to change a hell of a
I don't
lot.
know. I don't even know if this
I
one
agree.
has 16 gigs. The one I have here, it probably only has 12. Like I don't think I've ever used a phone with 16 gigs of RAM. So I
More
can't
than a lot of
imagine it.
computers. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's not necessary. But starting at 8 gigs is kind of weird. It's just like not really what we're doing nowadays for Android phones. I mean, I think iPhones start a little lower as well.
Apple never
Yeah, that's
talks
always
about
been a bit
RAM.
of a difference, though. The one thing that's weird,
Yeah.
I think, with this one is like the S22. I guess they kind of did this last year, but the S20, and I guess I'll preface this by saying they truly are all like flagships, good cameras, good chips, good screens, at the bare bones. But just the way that Samsung's sort of presenting them this year, it sort of seems like the Ultra is like really in the spotlight. And the other two, just by the nature of them not even looking that different from the last year models and like just being much smaller and just different in general, it almost seems like they're presenting like two phone lines, and the S22 and S22 Plus almost seem like they're being presented in more of a mid-range light. It's weird because they're still great
Well,
phones, but
That's
I don't
what
know.
I was gonna say. Like I wasn't at the event. I didn't go with you guys this year. But to me, the Ultra just is a note. It's like a note with a different name. That's the way it looks to me from the outside looking in. Like I didn't hear Samsung's messaging surrounding it or anything like that. But that's really what it seems like. It's like, okay, people were sad about the Note line getting killed off. We tried it with the S21. The S21 worked with the S Pen, but you had to have like a weird case to keep it in or carry the S Pen around with you, which makes absolutely
Stick
no
it behind
sense.
your ear, classic.
Yeah, just stick it behind your ear. Take
Keep
it
it
out when
there.
you need to use it.
Yeah.
So this was like Samsung kind of backpedaling in a sense on killing the Note line, but then melding it into the S series because they needed to bring the Note back because there's like a passionate, we even see it in like the stats and the comments and stuff on the site. Like there's a passionate group of people that really care about the Note. Like
A notable
they
group,
really
yeah.
do. There's no other way to
And
put it.
and I think that makes sense. I honestly think it's a good idea for Samsung to make the Note the S22 Ultra, like the S22 Ultra. The Note. I think that makes perfectly sense. Like
But do you think
makes a lot of sense. I just think that the S22 Plus should be more different than the S22 as well, so that there's like a middle ground for someone
agree,
who
yeah.
wants the S22 Ultra but doesn't want to know.
I was also, I mean, we're getting into the weeds of it, but I was also kind of perfectly fine with the Note being gone and the Fold line trying to take that sort of high-end business class place. I'm worried now that the next Fold isn't going to have an S Pen slot because we have the Note back, and that's not what I wanted.
The new Fold uses an S Pen, right?
But it doesn't have the
Yeah,
slot.
it doesn't.
And it
have
has
a slot.
it's a specific S Pen with like a softer tip or something, isn't
Okay.
it? Am I wrong there? Did I make that up?
I don't know offhand, to be honest.
Or maybe there
I
was just
don't.
two different types of
I
S
think
Pens.
it's the same S Pen.
There is two different S Pens. For sure, there's
Okay.
one that has Bluetooth and one that doesn't.
Okay. But either way, I thought, because of the release date of the Folds, they had replaced the Samsung Note as Samsung's like summer phone. It just made a lot of sense. They're more expensive, like the Notes were. So now Samsung kind of double dipping in that ultra expensive like business class customer category seems odd to me. But maybe the Folds aren't picking up in the way that Samsung hoped or we expect.
I mean, they are.
Did I say Note or Folds? I meant to say Folds.
You said
You can-
Folds, but
okay,
they
so
are like
Folds.
$2,000.
Yeah,
So,
that's
it
true.
makes
So it's
sense.
even more expensive. But that's also like Samsung has been pushing the prices up that high. Like they pushed it that high,
That's fair. Google went down. Well, and Samsung is. I mean, to be fair, the S22 Ultra and the S21 Ultra cost the same as last year. Like they're the exact
Okay.
same cost.
Okay, that's
So-
fair then. But those
Take-
are also very
I
expensive.
got something
phones.
wrong.
So beyond the actual like S Pen itself, what else is new about the fact that the S Pen can go in the phone? I mean, is there anything else different about the S22 Ultra when you compare it to the S21 Ultra?
I mean, the shape is different.
It's more
And
rectangular, right?
yeah, it's more rectangular. The camera bump is super different.
So the camera
There,
sensors are larger, more like the iPhone to capture better low light was kind of one of the
yeah,
marketing things.
exactly. More like bigger pixels. It is supposed to. Like, that's kind of it, really. Whoa, the display 120 hertz goes
Oh
from
yeah, okay, we haven't talked about
10
that.
hertz to 1 hertz instead. Like so, all Samsung phones or all S21 phones have a variable refresh rate, which means that when you're looking at a static page, your phone should only use like it would only go to 10 hertz, which should save battery. You don't really need all 120 hertz if you're not doing anything. Um, but what's new for the Ultra is that it goes down to 1 hertz, which should save even more battery. And it makes perfect sense. Like, why would you need your screen moving at
Yeah, it's a cool feature.
10 hertz if you're not doing anything, right? Yeah, so hopefully I should be able to get better usage out of the battery from this phone compared to the S21 Ultra. It also has 240 hertz
Touch
touch
sampling.
sensing, yeah, touch
Yeah.
sampling for games. So it means that, like when you touch your screen, like when you're playing a game, it should like be like it always feels immediate when you're doing your like doing stuff, but like it should. I don't know how to explain it. I wrote the perfect words how
It's
to
more
explain
reactive. I
it
think it
in my
goes down
review.
to I think you said it goes down to like less than 4 milliseconds or something, or around four
Yeah, like
milliseconds, which
Should
is
just feel more
exactly.
slightly.
instant.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's a
should feel
big
more
like
instant. It's not noticeable
gaming
if you're not.
phones.
Yeah, it's if you're noticeable when you're gaming. Like if you're playing like I don't know, PUBG, like you're gonna want to shoot faster, feel it faster, and that should help, right? So that is one of the other differences.
I don't
There
know
are
how
like
many. I don't know how many gaming phones have 240 hertz touch sampling, but yeah, the like more and more touch sampling is something that when I was reviewing those Red Magic phones, every year they kept getting like higher and higher in that. So that's what, yeah, I think it's like really geared towards gaming, those like high touch sampling rates.
yeah, I think all the ROG phones have it as well.
Yeah.
Or at least they've all had it since ROG 2. Um,
How do we feel
there's
about the bump, the camera bump? Like
Can I talk?
I
I
like
haven't
it.
touched it. You guys saw it. I like it. I'm so tired of that little like glass backing. I would rather just have these like several lenses stick out of the phone. That makes so much sense to me. But
I was
Bennett,
Yeah, I
like
probably
like it.
you said that you weren't a big fan.
Yeah. How do you pronounce it, Dean? Is it trichophobia?
Tryptophobia,
Tryptophobia?
Tryptophobia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
tryptophobia.
I don't have
tryptoph-
tryptophobia, but it's like this fear of holes. And if you're kind of like wondering what it means, you can Google that. It's like
No,
TR
it's a fear of
or
Several
holes. You
like
got it.
yeah,
several
but like
holes.
the images it comes up when you Google it. It's like a very specific like hole pattern kind of. It's like a very
Yeah.
creepy looking. It's kind of gross. If you think you have it, don't look it up because it is kind of gross looking. But just when I was editing the video, I just took so many shots on the gimbal of like the camera like spinning and like panning like this, and I just was watching those shots over and over again of the holes like spinning together, and I just like kind of was getting those trichnophobia vibes from it, just because instead of there being like a bump or like some sort of camera housing or something, this is a OnePlus 9 Pro. It's just like these like black holes, like there isn't a lot of depth to it. You just if the lighting isn't right on the camera bump, you just see these like deep black holes. And I like this is totally me editing the video too much and just staring at these like videos going through over and over again, but it was just
I
super threw me off and I didn't like it.
yeah, I don't I don't have trypophobia, but and like I get it though. Like if I see with a lot of holes, it's bothers me as well. But I didn't really get that vibe from it. I mean, I see what you mean though. It is weird. But I
Did
prefer it a
they
lot more than the like the bump is kind of it's like huge. Like it's you can't see it on this camera, but the bump on the S21 Ultra is just it's so significant that this is so much better
The
for
one
me.
thing I don't
does
know if
it
this is
look?
for sure.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just I don't know if this is for sure because I didn't really ever play with an S21 or an S21 Plus, but the bumps on the S22 and S22 Plus did seem smaller and like more into the edge of the phone than last year. I don't know if I could be wrong, but they seemed I liked those more. That was the last thing I got when we did the hands-on though.
Does it look like it's pasted onto them, like the different lenses, or does it seem like a seamless part of the phone? Because I know that was my issue with some of the past Ultras and even the Note line. I think maybe even the last Note I had that problem with.
Yeah, I guess it can be like I guess you could think it's like pasted on. Yeah.
Okay.
To me,
I
it's
mean, it
like the
doesn't like.
opposite. It looks like they're like sunken in. That's what throws me off. Like when you look at it from an
Yeah.
angle and you can't see Like you just see like the blackness of it. I don't know. It's very weird.
Yeah. From that angle, from
An optical
front
illusion.
on, it looks like it does actually look like it's sunken
I'm
into the
swaying him.
phone.
I'm getting him.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
swaying.
But if you look at it from the side, you can clearly tell like these are like kind of protruding bumps that are like they're not huge at all. It's nice.
Yeah.
But they are
They are
protruding
small.
bumps, and they kind of look like they could have just been like someone added these like camera stickers to the phone.
Yeah.
I like the LG Velvet, where the LG Velvet kind of has like this motif where
It's a
it's
cool
just
design.
kind of yeah, it's like the kind of like no camera bump at all. But the LG Velvet for the most part is like flush to the back of the phone. Is that the word flush? But it's like
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, so like this phone doesn't have that, which is not as nice in my opinion.
Can we
Okay.
go over which camera is which? Because like I've read through the specs a few times, and I'm gonna be honest. There's like, why are there two telephoto lenses? You know,
It's because one is for 10
and one is 3. But
one is 3. But
why
it
do we
does
need?
they're
You
like
know what I mean?
optical, like they're not like you can't control them, if you know what I mean. Like
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
want specifically 3 times
It
zoom.
jumps from whatever optical
Yeah.
zoom to whatever optical zoom.
yeah. It
Yeah,
just
like
seems. I don't know. Seems like a lot. I guess it's kind of like, but I just think the design would have been way cleaner if there was just those 3 big holes and not the 3 small holes. The third small hole I'm counting is the flash hole. Like, you know, just
I'm looking
imagine
at it
just
now.
boop, boop, boop. Just those
Yeah,
3
I see
without
what
those
you
2
mean.
little side ones. Because, like, what are the side ones? One of them is one of the telephotos. It's like, we don't need one. We'll just keep whatever one's better is the one that I want. Because, like, I find this with phone cameras a lot. And I could be wrong because I don't test a lot of, like, flagship Androids besides OnePlus. But some of the lower end ones, like, it's always like, you know, 1 camera's good, 2 cameras are good. But there's, like, 4 on there. And 2 of them are just like, why are they here? I'm not going to use these. Too grainy. Like, you know, it's not really worth it. Maybe Samsung is the exception. They probably are. They're the top dog for a reason. But I find that happens often, you know, where you get like these cameras that are like arbitrarily added on. It's like, oh, it's a 2 megapixel black and white camera. You're like, I'm never going to use that, but thanks.
That's because you're used to reviewing OnePlus phones.
Yeah, that's true. OnePlus is really bad for that. This is me just getting my OnePlus anger out at Samsung. Samsung, I'm sorry. This is for what's his name? It's not Carl Pei. He left. Pete Lau.
Pete Lau.
That's to you, my guy. All right.
Before we hit the ad break, Dean, what's the zoom situation with the S22? Like, what's the max optical zoom?
It's the same as last year. So 10 optical,
10 times.
100, and I think it's 100 hybrid.
Yeah,
Not
it's hybrid.
digital. Yeah, it's hybrid. Yeah, 100 hybrid.
I'm looking
So
forward to seeing what 10 times optical looks like in your review this year, because last year it was sick, like the 10 times
I want to go
optical.
bird watching. I don't think they've changed much to the zoom aspect.
It'd be a
I think
fun
they
video.
really, I think they really focused on trying to improve low lighting.
That was the
Low
S21's
lighting.
like killer feature, was that 10 times zoom.
Yeah, I remember that review. Yeah, low lighting and video. They're trying to improve their videography as well, which I'm horrible at talking about in reviews.
That's okay. I mean, when we do it, maybe I can play around with that stuff, and I'll just like hop in and say a line about it when we do the video review or something. But there's no cinematic mode competitor, is there? I mean, did I miss that?
So they have auto framing now. So when you're like doing a video, it
Like for
shows like those
FaceTime, for
different boxes.
video chats and stuff.
No, like for when you're
Oh.
like just doing like regular video, like if you're taking a video of you and your friends and you want to like it will auto frame it so that everyone's in the frame perfectly. And then when you click on one specific person, like one specific person's face, it will like lock on to that person. So if that person moves around, like the camera will keep trying to follow it.
But is there depth of field?
No, so it's not the same as cinematic.
Okay.
But
That's
the closest. It's like a change, like they're trying.
That's a very handy feature in like another way. I mean, in terms of like, you know, cinematic mode is nice because it sort of emulates that big camera depth of field. But that really, if they have really good like autofocus, you can really lock onto a subject and it doesn't need to see their face. Like, you know, being able to like film in crowds with autofocus and stuff is something that I think Sony is starting to push into a lot more in its like high-end mirrorless line. And if Samsung can do that in the smartphone space, that's kind of cool. Not that people need, you know, are shooting these like kind of crazy autofocus type movies where they would need all this different effects in their phones, but that's pretty cool and pretty pro, I guess. But
Yeah.
As a digital creator, cinematic mode made my TikToks better, and just want more of that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
So
this can work with depth. They didn't mention it in the they didn't mention it in the like briefing stuff I saw. But we can give it a shot. Like we can definitely try that stuff out.
your Ultra
Definitely.
review's coming somewhat like in the next couple weeks, right? Because
Yeah, let's
there's no
say before the phone
embargo,
comes
right?
out. Yeah, the phone comes out on February 25th, so you should expect
Okay.
it before the phone comes out.
Okay, cool.
Just so you can make like for viewers, they can make an informed choice about whether or
Informed
not they should.
purchase.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's hit the ad break and then chat about the S22 and the S22 Plus. Okay, so the S22 and the S22 Plus look to me from the outside looking in identical to the last year's S21 and the S21 Plus. Even in terms of specs, they look the same to me. Is that a true assumption, or am I just like not looking into it enough?
It's
It
true, but
comes
there's like
in
one
pink
little wrinkle.
gold.
Two little wrinkles then. Pink
Yeah,
gold is here, and when you hold it in your hand, kind of feels like an iPhone. That
Oh,
that was
for
the
sure.
first thing Dean and I said. It's just they squared
How,
off
though?
the edges a lot more.
Oh,
It's hard to see in
Yeah.
pictures, but when you pick it up, it
You're like,
feels
oh
very
my gosh,
square.
iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Especially because the Ultra, it still has that note, like curvy edges around whatever, like that more like racetrack style design, if that makes any sense to anybody. But the S22 and S22 Plus, both of us, like Dean and I held them. We're like walked away from the PR people and we're just like, yo, does it kind of feel like an iPhone to you? Yeah. Whoa. And that was like our first opinion for both of us. I
Like
think.
legit, that's exactly how it happened. Like we
Yeah.
both like I looked away to see if the PR person was in earshot.
Yeah.
No, he said it.
Did they do this? Did they just make because like we didn't expect it, but yeah, it felt very iPhone, very squared off in a good
Yeah.
way, like super comfortable in the hand, very nice, maybe even a little curvier. But that was like my first thought was like, whoa, that feels like an iPhone, and looks like an
is
S21.
there anything else different about them when you compare them to last year's phones? Like at all,
The
like
phone-
whether it's camera specs. I know you just talked about the design, but like camera specs or RAM or anything like that.
Display is smaller on both, I think. No, on one of
think
them.
the
Display is
Plus?
smaller on the S22, but the phone is like altogether smaller, like slightly smaller, which I mean is nicer for people who like John who like smaller phones. RAM is the same, storage is the same. There's a new processor.
Oh yeah,
It
there's a new
also
chip.
has
We didn't talk about that with the Ultra either.
It also has the 240 hertz game sensing as well, or touch sensing as well for games.
And these, we should mention it. These are the first phones to feature the new Snapdragon chip in Canada, right?
Yeah, Snapdragon 8 Gen 1.
Yes.
They also have like completely new cameras, like different cameras.
Compared to last year.
Yeah.
I think they have the same like larger sensors and stuff. Like it's a similar like low light push. If I
No,
read that
like
correctly.
specs wise. Let me just compare that. Like, let me make sure I have that.
Hey, wait, yeah, you look that up. I'm gonna talk about the colors quick, but
Okay.
basically there are 4 colors you can get from like every carrier. What is it? Pink gold, phantom black, phantom white, and green. And then on Samsung's website, they also have a sky blue, a violet, and a cream color. The cream color being my favorite because it's the same color that the Galaxy Flip 3 was, and I really liked that one.
I like the violet.
The violet's really nice too. I'm with you.
But camera wise, yeah, it's a completely different camera setup. So like the primary camera this time is 50 megapixels. No, that's not. Yeah, it is true. 50 megapixels, whereas the primary camera last time was 12 megapixels. The telephoto this time is 10 megapixels, whereas the telephoto last time was 64 megapixels. The ultra wide is the same. The ultra wide is the exact same camera. So they kind of switched it. So they gave the primary shooter has 50 instead of 12, and the telephoto has 10 now instead of 64.
But the megapixels doesn't often mean that much. Like, is there changes to the sensor or the pixel size?
I think what that mean would be is
yeah, they're larger
the camera
sensors to let in more light, but not by a lot. But I mean, we're talking still phone sensors, so
yeah, exactly.
We're going from millimeters to millimeters.
I think that would mean though, like the primary camera itself should let in more light, but not the telephoto camera.
It's funny.
I
It sounds like so much. It sounds
Yeah.
so similar to like the difference between the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 13 series. Like that was the big, not a big jump. That was like the incremental leap, I guess I would say, is like the low
Yeah.
light performance, and that's what Apple pushed in like briefings and ads and stuff like that. And to me, like without using these phones, it sounds like Samsung's taking a very similar approach with the cameras this year.
actually, if
Yeah,
you go,
which is weird.
if you go by GSM Arena, which is something I didn't like, this might be wrong, but if you go by GSM Arena, the S20 one didn't actually have 3 times zoom. It only had 1.1 times optical zoom and then 3 times hybrid zoom.
Hybrid would be both with a
Did it
mix
only
of
have 2
optical and
cameras
digital.
then? What was it?
No, it had 3. It has 3, but it would like now it has 3 times optical zoom, like actual optical zoom.
Okay.
Which means that your telephoto experience should be better on the new S22.
Yeah.
Which is cool. That's good. I didn't know it didn't have 3 times hybrid optical zoom, which I should check my review for that. I wrote last year.
I think that this like 3 camera setup, I've said this on this podcast before, but I think that 3 camera setup of a wide, like a regular wide and like a 3x 2x zoom is kind of like the perfect combo, you know? It's just what you would need. Like
I don't know. I like the 10. I like the idea of the 10 times zoom.
That's
or like
true, and I do like your
Huawei
bird watching idea, but
yeah, I really want to go bird watching. And Huawei had like 5 times zoom on their I want to say like P20.
yeah,
Pro.
yeah.
They were
Like,
doing that
which-
zoom stuff before even Samsung was.
Before
Yeah,
everybody.
No,
I feel like they
P20 Pro.
I feel like they pioneered like having a separate zoom lens, or am I
Oh,
crazy?
it feels like it. Like I
Yeah.
don't think there was many phones before that did, especially not the one with the square shape.
The
Not telephoto, but they have another.
Oh,
word for it.
periscope. Yeah,
Periscope.
the mirrors. That was fun.
Yeah,
the
they're the
periscope
first
ones.
ones with the periscope camera, and like they were pretty. That's pretty cool, right? So I think 5 times zoom was good for when I was using the Huawei P30 Pro. I really liked it. And I think that 5 times zoom is a good spot. I mean, the Google's Pixel 6 Pro has 4 times zoom, which doesn't feel like a lot more than 3 times zoom, but 5 times zoom felt a lot more than 3 times. I'm saying a lot of numbers and times and
A lot
know,
of zoom.
zooms.
It's
hard,
zooming all
yeah.
over the place.
Yeah, but I feel like the P30 Pro like did it really well, which is crazy because that phone came out in 2019.
Before we switch gears and talk about the tablets, and I introduce those in an amusing way, like
I thought you were gonna say musical way. I was like, you just
yeah, the music. I'm gonna sing a
Oh,
song.
I would
about,
love that. Please
about
sing to
notches.
us.
How does the S22 series, just in general, like all of the phones, how do they fit into the Canadian landscape in terms of pricing? Because I know that that's something that we often bring up in our reviews, right? Is like how much these devices actually cost. And like instantly your S21 FE review, which it's insane that phone came out like a few weeks ago and we're already on the S22 series. Like that phone cost too much, so it made it really, really hard to recommend. Is that the same case with the S21, S21 Plus, and S21 Ultra? Like, is the Pixel just straight up a better buy? Is the iPhone just totally a better buy than either of these devices?
I feel like if you're going to compare apples to oranges, like apples to apples, I'm so funny. If you're going to compare like the Google Pixel, like Androids to Android, it's better.
Sure, yeah.
Then you'll have like your Pixel is gonna be a lot cheaper than the S22 even. No, that's not true. Then the S22 Plus even, which is like kind of no, a lot cheaper. They're the same price. No, they're not. They're not. I'm not going crazy. The S22 Plus is more expensive than your Pixel 6 Pro, which you're kind of like, well, the Pixel 6 Pro has 12 gigs of RAM, 128. It's the same storage, good cameras as well. Why would you go anything like? Why would you not just get the Pixel 6 Pro? And my answer to you is,
well, some people are so loyal to Samsung, right? Like,
no, he's right.
like you walk into a carrier store and you're just like a regular person buying a phone. In some sense, people think that Android is Samsung. Like there's no other phone that exists. Like I know people like us that know stuff about phones always recommend Pixel devices, but like to the broader Canadian population, like no one knows what the hell a Pixel is.
No,
When
for
I got-
sure.
When I got picked up from the Samsung event, my Uber driver was a Samsung fanboy hardcore, but he had no idea about anything. Like I was just sort of fact checking him the whole way through the drive home. It was like a 40-minute drive. Because he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just looking at these new Samsung phones. Like I do this job." And he's like, "Oh, I love." He had a Fold, and he was like all about it.
Oh,
But yeah,
sick.
he like had no idea about Pixels. He had no idea about like anything really outside the Samsung space. You know,
So
like,
many
it's
people like that.
just like the average consumers like that. Yeah.
Well,
These
my
people I
mom.
grew up with that only buy the Note. Like that was the only phone that they've ever pretty much had, other than like really really early like smartphones. Since the Note existed, that's all they've ever purchased. And when the Note
Yeah.
died, they're like, I don't know what phone to buy now.
My
Back to
mom
BlackBerry.
was kind of the same, where she's just like loves Samsung phones at all. I mean, I'm like one of her phones broke, and I was like, well, I have this like extra Pixel you can use, and she refuses to use it. Only wants to use a Samsung phone, which I have billions of apparently. So it was no issue. But still, like people love Samsung. It's such like a iconic name brand. Samsung is been dominating the phone market for, I mean, as long as I've been in tech, it's always dominated the phone market globally, and at least shared it like half and half with Apple in Canada. So I mean, like, yeah, people might be buying a name brand. At the same
Yeah, there's-
time, I find that like Samsung phones can like they feel great. I mean, like,
Yeah, for sure.
I enjoy One UI a lot.
It's so much better now. Yeah.
Then yeah, TouchWiz was a monster, but I enjoy
Even
One
One
UI.
Yeah.
TouchWiz was so bad.
It's can do good stuff. I mean, like, would I personally buy if it was me and my money, I would definitely just go for the Pixel 6 Pro, I think, just because it's so much it is cheaper, the cheaper option. Or the Fold. Or I'd go
Yeah, I was
straight
about to
Fold.
say, like,
You always tell
But-
people to get the Fold
but-
and like
What about the Flip? Because like if I needed
No.
a new phone last summer,
The
I would have
Flip
been
is a
getting a
reasonable
Flip, dog.
price.
I would have been flipping, like for
especially
sure.
on contract in Canada, like it's not an insane amount of
I
it's a
think
lot of money. 100% it's a lot of money, but it's not crazy. Like it's
But even-
an amount that someone might spend.
Even as outdated as it is right now, I still would rather a Flip 3 than any of the phones they just announced. Sorry,
But
Samsung.
Really?
now to
Why not?
compare,
It's cool,
Yeah,
and like
guys.
let's be honest, we know that cameras aren't getting that much better. Chips aren't changing
Yeah,
that
that's true.
much. Like a phone from a year ago is still highly competitive with a phone from this year, I think.
but comparing Apple to oranges to Samsungs, they're the same, right? Like the
Yeah.
iPhone 13 10 is 1099, the S22 is 1099, the iPhone 13 Pro is 1399, the S22 Plus is 1399.
So it's the
If you
same.
want, yeah, if you want more gigs, the S22 Ultra is 1649.
The S21
Apple's
FE is like the same price as the 13 mini too, isn't it? 950?
950. Yeah, bam.
Yeah, so they've
Look at
like
you just remembering
parity
money.
across the line. Well, we talked
Yeah,
about this
so-
one before, and I thought it was cheaper. So
I know
And then-
I know it's two different worlds, and like not everybody's jumping ship like when there's a good deal on a phone or something, but I still like to place it in context.
no, for sure. I
relation
think
to the
I think
prices.
Yeah.
I think it's worth mentioning. And one thing I just want to mention when you say like two separate worlds, and I feel like I've said this before in the podcast too. I'm just gonna say it really quickly, but like if you're a phone nerd like us and you're just like kind of feeling like your phone's boring and you're like, oh, I upgraded to, I love Samsung, keep getting Samsungs, but you're just not feeling like a new device, switch over to iPhone for 2 years, switch back, like hop on both sides of the aisle.
No one
and
does
like,
that.
But I feel like if you're a tech nerd and you're looking for like,
Yeah,
a
100%,
gadget
sure.
to truly feel new, that's like the only way to do it anymore.
Just buy
That's
a
just
Fold.
like a side piece. That one's a fun toy too, yeah.
It's like you're an influencer and you're sponsored by the Fold line. Just you want everyone
Yeah.
to drop.
I
2K on
I
the
love it.
smartphone.
It's probably my most used.
It's
phone. That's
sick.
not
It's
true.
just so much money. It's still too much
Yeah.
money, I think, for the
yeah.
average
It's
consumer to
the same
consider.
cost as the S22 Ultra with 1 terabyte.
Which I also think no one.
We don't think,
really
no
buying
one
in
should get
Canada.
that either.
Great
It's also
phone.
a no
Average
buy.
person's not buying it.
And I'm not a Samsung shill, I promise anyone. But if you're going to buy an S22 Ultra, like this would be the time because
use promo code Dean at checkout to get there. No, I'm kidding.
No, but because right now they're doing this deal where it's like if you get the S22 Ultra of 256 gigs, it's the same price as the one of 128 gigs, and the one of 256 gigs has 12 gigabytes of RAM compared to the
Do you
one
get
of
like headphones too?
I
I
think
don't
you
think
also
you
get
get
headphones too.
Do you get them?
No, don't you?
There's a pre-order bonus. What's the pre-order bonus?
No, that is the pre-order bonus. No,
you
there's
get
no
headphones. You get headphones if you get headphones and a keyboard case if you get a tablet. Maybe that's what you're mistaking, but I don't
Okay,
think that's what
yeah,
the
yeah,
phones.
yeah.
Which is weird because like how much does it cost them to make Galaxy Buds? Like $4 a pop? Like why aren't they just pumping these out?
Speaking of tablets, let's shift gears, Bennett. Talk about these tablets that nobody really truly cares about, and Samsung should probably stop making. I think.
I don't know.
Disagree.
They were doing well on our site analytics wise earlier. Let's see where they are now.
Who's buying them though?
That's a good
That's what I want to
would.
know.
I don't know.
I
'Cause,
love
yeah.
I love the idea of tablets.
Yeah,
Buy an
Like, I
iPad
wouldn't
then.
buy an iPad.
Yeah, Samsung told us it was for like hybrid workers, but I
Interesting,
just don't
okay.
like DeX. I don't find DeX like intuitive to use. I find it weirdly touchscreeny for like trying to be a computer, but people might like it. Yeah, the tab lineup is being read more than the Ultra hands-on now, and the S22 Ultra color story. Not by much, just a tiny little bit. So those are probably switching, but it's getting more reads than I would have expected.
Man, I worked so hard on that hands-on.
No, well, that hands-on was like for the first 3 hours of the day was at the top. The tablet one was never there. But yeah, okay. So tablets, let's get into it. There are 3. Just like the phones, there is a Tab S8, there is a Tab S8 Plus. Those two are very similar. And then there is a Tab S8 Ultra, top of the line. So the Tab S8 probably being the one that I would recommend the most because it is an 11-inch tablet. And I think that's like a good tablet size. It feels very much like an A4 piece of paper in your hand. All the tablets come with big styluses that magnetize to the back that are more the size of a pencil rather than the tiny S Pen that comes with the Galaxy S22. I almost wanted to say Note again. But so those are really handy. You get all that. This one's the cheapest. It has the same like rear cameras, most of the same specs as the other two. So you're pretty much getting the same experience. I think it starts at like $800 or $900. So these tablets are all very expensive. They're like iPad Pro equivalents. They're very high end. Moving on, the next one I believe is 12.4 inches. So it's moving into that sort of like 13.
Plus, right?
Yeah, that one's a plus.
Okay.
Moving more into that 13-inch laptop space. And then the final one, the Tab S8 Ultra is like 14.4 inches. Let me
Bigger than a MacBook.
Yeah,
I think
let me
that's right.
Double check. 14.6 inches. Yeah, it's bigger than
bigger
a
than the
MacBook.
13-inch MacBook.
And it might even be bigger than the 14-inch MacBook. I don't know. It'd be very comparable in size to the 14-inch MacBook though. And just like the 14-inch MacBook, it has a little notch on there because it has 2 front-facing cameras. For some reason.
But why? Oh, no.
I honestly don't know because I'm pretty sure all of the tablets do that track you during calls thing where it's like moving around
the center stage sort of thing that Apple has.
Yeah,
with
Facebook,
with the iPad.
Facebook pioneered it with the portals, but yeah, I'm not sure what exactly the thing is. I think one is a wider. You're right. Xbox with the Kinect.
Xbox did it first, I think. With
Xbox did everything first.
What was it? What was it with?
Kinect.
Skype. It was with Skype.
Kinect Skype. Yeah. But the Kinect was the first Google Home device. I love that. I'm gonna write that story someday.
The Kinect was the first Google Home device.
It was because you would walk in and you couldn't ask it to do lights, but you'd be like, "Hey Xbox, play the TV, turn the TV on." You're just talking
the first
to it,
Kinect just didn't really work. Period.
Sorry, yeah, I guess the third Kinect was the first Google Home device.
The second one.
The one that came with the
Xbox One. It was great. It 100% worked. The first one was more of an experiment that if you played games with it, because I used to play Kinect.
I was a little kid when it first came out. Some of those games were pretty fun.
You just had to have a bright room, an extremely bright room and a lot of space. Whereas the Kinect 2.0 was far more versatile. You could play it under nearly any conditions. But yeah, sidetracked you. Continue.
No, that's okay. I'll take any moment to just tell people that the Kinect was the first Google Home. Anyway,
do you know what processor?
So I actually don't know what processor is. I'll get to that in 1 second. We'll have to ask Samsung, but I'm pretty sure it's the new Exynos. But in all the spec sheets, they were calling it a 4 nanometer octa-core chip. but like it has all the specs that the new Exynos processor should have. Like it's 4 nanometer. It has like 5G capabilities, Wi-Fi 6, like all that new stuff. So it should be that, but they didn't say that, so it's kind of weird. But just for that notch, one camera is just like a regular kind of camera, and the other one is an ultra wide. So I guess you could do a meeting with like more people in your space.
I only just brought the
behind it?
processor because someone asked me what processor was in the S22 phones, and I'm like, I guess I don't know. Like it says 4 nanometer for me as well, but I mean it would have to be the Snapdragon one, right?
What
Yeah.
you've written about the tabs in the past, Bennett? Like,
Yeah.
did they bring the Exynos or the Snapdragon variant to North America? Like, I know with the phones, it's always the Snapdragon, but like on the tablet side, do you know?
Let's see.
He furiously Googles it.
No, I'm looking for. Yeah, I am, but it's my own review. I'm just trying to see what it was last time I had one.
My guess is it's Dean's probably right, and it's not the Exynos.
Yeah, it's probably Snapdragon, right?
But I
Like,
don't know. Maybe
So that-
their contract with Qualcomm has nothing to do with tablets in North America.
So yeah, the last tablet was an 865, like the S7 Plus was an 865, so that was a pretty high end chip for that time. But yeah, the spec sheet they said just said 4 nanometer. I guess I should do more research into like what the exact specs are of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 because I bet you it's probably
We should
very
ask them
similar
and try to find
Yeah,
out.
we'll
because
get
it's
to the
weird they
bottom
weren't
of it.
specific about it in the briefing.
I'm reading GSM and it only says 8 Gen 1 for the tabs, whereas the Ultra it says Exynos or 8 Gen 1. So maybe that's a sign or something. I don't know.
That would be weird
Uh,
if they use some and then the other ones use the other one.
Well, often
I'm
don't
just
they do
saying-
that where the some Samsung phones will have Exynos processors in like Asia
Yeah.
and whatnot. No?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's regional. I mean in North
Yeah.
America specifically.
No,
like,
they're saying
Yeah, North America will have one or the other, but GSM is global.
GSM saying that it's only Snapdragon for
Yeah,
all
for the tablets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll get to the
I
bottom
mean-
of that.
yeah.
But yeah, I guess maybe I assumed too much, but yeah, just because they didn't clarify that it was a Snapdragon in the press release, I was like, okay, it must be an Exynos then. But yeah,
I
you're
think
right,
that's
maybe
why
it's
they
just
didn't clarify. That's why
because
they
it's a Snapdragon. That makes
Yeah.
You're right. The flip side of that argument makes a lot more sense. But yeah, so then they're sitting with Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chips, which is pretty snappy and lots of RAM. And yeah, I don't know. They're cool. Samsung right now, like we just talked about the pre-ordered bonuses with the phones, but the pre-order bonuses with the tablets are like a keyboard cover. They call it like their book cover and Galaxy Buds 2, which are honestly great earbuds. So if you want a Samsung Tab, maybe now's the time. Those deals are pretty good. But yeah, like you said earlier, Pat, I just don't necessarily know what people are using them for. Your mom has one, Dean, right? And she uses it for work, if I'm correct.
No,
No,
you're incorrect.
I don't know your mom. Sorry, I thought
She
knew
does
her.
not have one at all. She has a
Didn't
Samsung
she?
tablet, like
No, that's
3
what I mean.
years
Like,
old.
yeah.
Yeah, she's not
But I
using
mean,
it for
we're
work.
just talking about people who
She-
use Samsung tablets.
Oh, she uses it to read, I think, and watch stuff. She watches like Netflix on it.
I just
Yeah.
don't know anyone that uses. I know there's other Android tablet manufacturers. I just don't know a single person like in my life that uses an Android tablet.
Are there? Name me one. Go.
Like another
Other
tablet? I don't know. I don't
manufacturers?
write about
Yeah.
Android
and
stuff
could
anymore.
you call Amazon an Android manufacturer, a tablet manufacturer technically?
Doesn't,
Oh yeah. No, they use Fire.
What's that company?
But it's based on Android.
oh, doesn't TCL?
It's Lenovo. Lenovo. Oh, TCL does.
TCL
too,
has
maybe?
some.
Yeah,
I don't know if
Lenovo
there's
has
Lenovo.
some.
I don't know what it's
Lenovo.
called.
Yeah, and they.
I mostly see tablets as like point of sale machines. You know, like not like the new Apple thing
that's
where you
true.
can tap your card to them, but like often they are cash registers, whether it be iPads or Samsung
Mm.
tablets. But I'm seeing those a lot.
I see
That's
that too,
like
you're
way
right.
more than anyone's home. But also, just across my like not arbitrary, like my perspective, my friend group, the people that I know, no one like my age has a tablet. Like my mom and my grandparents have iPads, but most people just have laptops or their phones. I don't know a lot of people our ages with tablets. I don't know about you guys.
You know where else? When you order sushi, all you can eat sushi, and you're at
Oh
you're
yeah,
at a
those
restaurant,
menus
and
are
they
often
always,
That's true.
tablets.
yeah.
But aren't
so-
they iPads usually?
It depends on where. I think
Depends, yeah,
most of
it's
them
all
are
over.
iPads. Yeah.
So the last thing before we wrap it up, I wanted to mention was the fact that the S8 Tab S8 Ultra has a notch. It remains like perplexing
Yeah.
to me because Samsung does this thing where they're like they'll dunk on
Oh,
Apple,
yeah.
and it's always so funny. Like they had that thing where that ad where like the guy had the notch cut into his hairline,
had-
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah,
was
yeah,
so
yeah,
which
good.
is funny. Like it's always funny when these
Yeah.
companies poke fun at each other, but like
Yeah, it
Samsung
was.
always ends up doing whatever they're making fun of. Like I remember one time they made a comment about like, and we still include chargers with our devices.
Not anymore,
And
not
then
this year.
They ditched them.
Like
Same
literally the
thing.
next phone after. It was like
Yeah,
the next
yeah.
phone after they ditched
We
them. It
still
was like,
have a
Samsung,
3.5
what?
millimeter headphone jack, and then they ditched that. And every time they've made like I don't want to call it an attack ad because it's not really an attack ad. It's like a funny ad that just makes fun of Apple, and anything that like makes fun of the most powerful company in the world is always amusing. But they
Yeah.
like it's like so short sighted that they always end up doing whatever they're making fun of, and this is
Always.
just like another example.
It's crazy.
Of that.
Well, yeah, this one's so weird too because it's like, why even put a notch on your tablet? Like, it's a tablet, so it's kind of like the Mac thing, but the bezels on the tablet look a little larger, and it's like, I don't know why we need two cameras in the tablet. Like,
And
it's just
even
crazy.
if they had two cameras, their S20 Plus had two hole punches.
Yeah,
That's
why
true.
not do a hole punch?
Yeah,
it's
I just
like,
do two hole
it's-
punches.
It's like,
Like, I'm
whatever,
sure
and
it's
it's
not a
like the
big deal.
MacBook notch. Yeah, exactly. So it'll just
I'm
fade
sure
away.
it fades away.
but-
Like the MacBook notch
Why?
is stupid. Often frustrates me because like certain apps will disappear behind it. Like it's not great. But for the most part, I forget it's there. Like I'm sure
Yeah.
if you're using the Tab S8 Ultra, you're gonna forget about it. Just like the marketing side of things always cracks me up that like they talk shit about Apple and then a year later end up doing the same thing.
Yeah,
I like
I'd
the
like
Burger
to-
Tin thing today.
Oh yeah, that was funny. That was cool.
The what
Yeah,
thing?
they- and
Oh,
they
the
made fun of
Bridgerton. Yeah.
Yeah,
Bridgerton
and they
thing,
made
yeah.
fun of Apple at the very beginning of it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was clever.
What did they say again?
Well, they made the guy from Macintosh come out with like
Oh
a
yeah,
raincoat,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
they're like, "Nah, fuck you, like your raincoat." Yeah.
Okay, so I
Um,
think that's probably a good place to wrap up the episode. I guess something to look out for is we're going to have an S22 Ultra review up on the site in the next few weeks before release, which is on the 25th.
25th. It
Yeah.
should be up
25th.
sometime that week, probably. I
Like,
would
okay.
expect
Probably
it to come up
earlier that
Wednesday.
week. Yeah. I'm off most of that week, so yeah.
And we'll have a video review of that phone as well, and then we'll also have an S22 review and maybe an S22 Plus review down the line because I know that Plus model still has an audience of people that like
Yeah.
prefer larger phones but don't want to.
I don't think it should come out. I think they should get rid of that phone.
Let
think they
Samsung
should-
know in your next briefing that they should cancel.
Yeah,
it.
I think I might
They don't
write
listen to
an
what we
article
say in
about
the
that.
briefings, let's be honest.
Yeah, I would. This wouldn't be black if they listened.
Yeah. They were like, what color? We're like, whatever contrasts with Dean's skin the most so we can see it in photos. Cool.
They say do that one.
Same
All right,
color.
Let's talk about the games that we've been playing lately.
Oh, wait,
I've
last thing
been
before we hop
playing-
off that, I just want to say, if I find some free
Okay.
time, I want to do a video just on Dex. I want to use Samsung Dex for like a week or something because why they keep
I don't think
pushing it.
anyone's
Maybe I'm
using
missing
Dex.
something. Pardon?
I don't think anyone's using Dex.
Might just be me, but we'll have to see.
Be you. It'll be you making the video, but it's,
Dex
when
isn't
it first came
bad.
out, it was cool, but like the novelty
Yeah.
wore off pretty quickly, and I would honestly like love to see usage statistics on it because I have a feeling
Yeah,
that no
I'd
one's
like to
using
do a
it.
deep dive in it because is it being used? Is it even useful? Like they just keep putting more into it, and they keep these tablets are very much like hybrid work, like use Dex. So maybe there's something we're missing, but I doubt it. I think it could be a fun video though. Anyway, yeah, let's get into the games. Game time.
Okay, games. I've been playing Sea of Thieves. Took a break from Halo. Played way too much Halo the last couple months. Pretty burnt out on the game. Have nothing left to do in it.
Wow.
The ranks are getting reset in like a couple weeks. I'm not gonna like try to grind ranks and then have it disappear. Pleasantly surprised with Sea of Thieves. I played it like a lot when it first came out, and I think in like late 2017, early 2018, something like that. Great game, just not a hell of a lot going on in it. And interestingly, it has like a friendly community in a sense, which is nice.
Oh, cute.
Going from like what I'm used to in Halo Infinite, where people are just
We're
like
12-year-olds
swearing
or
and
just
Boo.
yelling racist.
Everyone
crap.
should be mean if they're a pirate.
Like the example that I was just going to share is like I was on an island. I played the game with my brother. We're completing a mission. Dude shows up in like a huge 4-person ship. He's solo by himself. I expect him to just blow my boat away, steal the loot that we have on the ship, come on the island and just spawn kill us. He parks his ship, moves our ship closer, like gets on our ship, moves it closer to the island so it's easier to bring loot off the island and put it on our ship. Comes up to
Wow.
me, hands me a banana. I eat his
That's
banana.
friendly. Yeah.
And then he goes around the island like
Yeah, you
finding
do.
treasure and stuff, and then helps us put it on the ship. And then we're like, okay, cool. And we leave, and he like stands on the bow of his boat, just like waving to us as we leave.
It's so
Like,
adorable.
So like, I don't know if this man just like sails around Sea of Thieves finding like noobs like myself.
This could be like
and,
a
helping them
7-year-old
out.
that just like showed up and just, like, one upped you, and you were like, "Oh my god, this savior!" And it's like some kid like, "I'm not sure what I'm doing, banana."
No, this guy 100%
I hope
was
so.
like because he was like pirate legend level, which means you
yeah,
get to like level 50 in one of the factions in the
He's a
game.
real
So
one.
he could be a 7-year-old, 100%, very possible. 7-year-old with a lot of time on his hands, but he knew what he was doing, and that man could have destroyed us in like one cannon blast, and he did not.
The
So,
best
yeah.
pirate or the worst. What's the line from Pirates of the Caribbean? You have to be the worst pirate I've ever heard of. Well, you've heard of me.
Something like
Yeah.
that. Dean, what have you been playing?
I've never seen Pirates of the Caribbean. Well, I've never seen it fully. Just
They're good.
Thing
The first
for
They're
movie
better
is
than
really
they
good.
have any right to be. Yeah.
I just don't like
After
pirates.
that, they all suck, I think. But
You know, like pirates. Pirates
Um,
are fun.
Uh,
Well, it depends on which side of the pirate team you're on, I guess, how fun they are. But anyway.
boats. I've been playing Pokemon Legends a bit still. I haven't beaten the post game yet because I want to make the perfect team before I do that. But when I'm not playing that, I've been playing Apex Legends. Look at me, all this Legend stuff.
Oh.
Because they've added, like yesterday, they added a new game mode that kind of works like 9v9, capture the hill.
sounds really cool.
Like Halo-ish kind of, because you just respawn and you just keep respawning until your team captures the hill, which is super fun, and I'm enjoying
It's
that.
interesting that like Apex has done that arc too, you know, from like Battle Royale to like just team shooters being like tacked onto it, you know, because when Battle Royale came out, it was like the other way around.
Yeah,
No, maybe.
I know.
I don't know.
Kind of. Yeah. But yeah, like they added that stuff. So I've been playing Halo, Apex, and Pokemon, and I'm just biding my time till Elden Ring comes out later this month. Wait for my review.
Nice.
I'm
I
more excited
tried
for
to
that
play
review.
Apex on the weekend just to like prepare for this update because I was like, oh, maybe I'll get back into Apex because I used to only play Apex before Halo Infinite came out. I can't do it. I can't. Like,
No,
Halo is like
don't do it.
ingrained into my brain. I can't.
Wait, play the update.
You are
now.
a Master Chief.
Play
I am the
this
Master
mode.
Chief now.
Play this
I might
9v9
give it a
thing.
shot.
You got this. It's pretty easy. It's a lot easier than Halo.
The controls just felt so different. Like everything from like how you reload to player movement. Like I've just played so much Halo that it felt incredibly so foreign, like crazy hard. More like way harder than I expected.
That makes sense. Bennett, how about you? You been playing games yet?
No, I don't think so.
He doesn't have time for games.
Except for games with my
could
heart.
squeeze in some yeah, I can see some games. I've been just watching Ozark. A few weeks ago, Brad
I too
Shankar
am watching that.
gave Alex and I the first 2 episodes. He got like review copies of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, so I've seen those, and I'm just like waiting. It's like I think 2 weeks until the next season of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel comes out, so I'm really excited for that. To be honest,
Sorry,
That's hype.
he just gave you the review copies. You're not writing about it? Is he writing about it?
I don't know. Is
They
anybody?
just
What?
send us.
I
we
get
sometimes
tons
get-
of them. I get them for
Do
every
you
single
turn
show,
them down?
and I just don't use them because I assume they wanted me to write about it, and I'm like, I don't want to write about Mrs.
If they're
Marvelous Mrs.
sending them
Maisel.
to you like unsolicited, you can just
Yeah.
do it. Like if they're sending you the access.
What?
I get early access to Apple TV Plus stuff quite often, and I just watch
you
it.
know,
I've written
we're a
about
small
Apple
team,
TV
we
Plus
yeah.
shows before, but not all of it relates to MobileSyrup. Right? Like,
What?
I'm not gonna.
I'm gonna watch all of Vox Machina. Peace out.
I don't know. I don't think they give them all out. They didn't with Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. But you
I
probably
know.
know more than me about the streamers. You
Yeah,
probably get more
they
than
gave
the
me,
first one
like-
I've ever done. But
They gave me 6 episodes of Wheel of Time, or Jack
Cool.
Reacher. Like they give me stuff all the time, and they just never do it because I'm like, I don't have time. And I even apologize to them. I'm like, hey guys, like I honestly just don't have the time to watch this and then write about it. And they're like, that's cool.
yeah,
And that was
also
it.
like I mean, our core audience isn't like looking for movie reviews. I think that much, you know.
Yeah.
Like as much as I could say, like I love the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Okay, like people know that. It is
Yeah.
good though. It's great. Sorry, yeah, that was the last thing I had. Sorry, Pat. I know you have to go, so we can wrap this up if
Look-
you're done.
Let's wrap up this bad boy. That's it. Thanks for listening to the Syrupcast. You can find me on Twitter at Patrick_Rourke, and of course on mobilesyrup.com. Bennett, where can people find you?
You can find me at MobileSyrup.com as well, on the MobileSyrup YouTube channel. Also, Dean on the MobileSyrup YouTube channel this week and probably next with the Galaxy S22 stuff. And then on socials and everything at the BradFad. And
Video
what do I?
superstar over here.
I've got this tiny little $60 earbud review coming up, and I've also
can't
got
see
an
it.
Instax. Yeah, it didn't go into focus because I'm not autofocused right now. But they're tiny earbuds. It's a really small case, kind of cool. They're $60. They don't sound that good, but for $60, I think it's maybe a trade-off that you might be able to make because they're not that bad. Anyway, and then I also have an Instax mini camera review coming up. And after months and months and months and months and months of waiting, potentially I'm getting Nothing Ear One earbuds, which I probably don't even need to review anymore.
Transparent buds.
I probably don't need to review anymore because it's like 6 months after they came out and Nothing has decided to only talk to us now. But I want to, so I'm excited. I'm really excited about it.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I love
Dean,
transparent
where can people
tech.
find you?
You can find me at the Daily Dean, on Twitter and Instagram, and on MobileSyrup's YouTube page, or in your dreams.
In your dreams.
He's a
Interesting.
nightly
I like
Dean
it.
in your dreams, though.
You know,
Dean After Dark.
Dean After Dark. Ooh.
And as
pretty good.
always, you can find our content on mobilesyrup.com and also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MobileSyrup. Thanks for listening.